Welcome back to another episode of The Cellcast Presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts. We are still in Kingdom Hearts Key, and while I thought we were perhaps getting to some more cool new stuff, and there's a little bit of new stuff, we do still have a little bit of a runaround today. So today we are looking at our first cutscene that takes place in Olympus Coliseum, which is called A Spot in the Tournament. And then we go immediately back to Dwarf Woodlands for Sneezy and Dopey and A Precious Light. However, I will say that between Olympus Coliseum and the Dwarf Woodlands, we go and hang out in Agrabah for a short while. But no cutscene actually takes place there outside of the little character portrait cutscenes. So let's just go ahead and jump into this, shall we? So yes, we are now, for the first time chronologically, at Olympus Coliseum. Get used to it, folks. We come back here a lot of times. But this first time, it is with Key Player. As he walks up to the, what do you call that? The vestibule? Where the contestants sign up. Basically the only other door in the courtyard besides the one that leads to the exit. We hear a voice from inside the building say, it says it's about time, and entry's going to close any minute now. It is Philoctetes, a.k.a. Phil, a.k.a. unfortunately not Danny DeVito. Of course, there's no voices in this game, so they do their best to try and do Danny DeVito from that but in future games, which we'll get to, but it never quite gets there. Anyway, he's confused just for Hercules and says, well, there ain't no place for kids. This place isn't for kids. So go on, shoo, get out of here. As Hercules does arrive, Phil tells him he's late, berating him as such, and Herc says that Pegasus for some reason wouldn't let him leave. You know how he is. Herc asks who we are, and Phil says, heck if I know, just some wannabe. And but strangely enough, Hercules kind of steps up for us, says, well, we ought to just let him in the games. I mean, it's not going to be too big a deal. And Phil says, are you kidding? There's not, even if we wanted to put him in, all the spots are full. And then Herc says, well, just give him my spot. And Phil goes, I thought you wanted to be the hero. Says, oh, trust me, I got something I'm working on. So, yeah, we go on in, and that's actually the end of that first cutscene. So Phil signs us up, and we work our way through the preliminary rounds. As is going to be the case pretty much any time we come to Olympus Coliseum, no matter what game it is, with some small exceptions. These areas are usually tournament-style fights against, I won't say random Heartless, as the types of Heartless, numbers of them are set up. But you're just fighting Heartless in a set of tournament style where it's almost a stamina match where you've got to go like a certain number of rounds without dying, without getting healed to actually survive. And that's how these are going to go. The thing is, and I'll remind people of this when we get to other Olympus Coliseum sections and other games, that's going to be boring for me to talk about. So I'm just going to say, yeah, we won the preliminary rounds and beat a big Heartless. And yeah, now this whole time, Phil had been telling us we weren't worth, shooting. But after we, come out of the preliminary rounds, Phil's like, yeah, man, I knew you were going to be a hero when I first saw you. It's like, and I'm thinking, yeah, right. But Phil says, just go rest up. It's going to take us a bit before we can actually start the real rounds. So, rest up and we'll come back later and we'll get to actually having this tournament. Chirothy also congratulates us for making it into the tournament, but says we don't have time really to celebrate at the moment. Stuff's going on in the other worlds. We need to go take care of that right now. So we do, and we end up in Agrabah again. So as we enter Agrabah, we come across one of the guards, and he says, hey, do you know a scoundrel named Aladdin? Supposedly, he has stolen a bunch of metals from a merchant, and we need you to go find him and see if you can help get it back, especially if you know where he is. Which, it's like, oh, isn't Aladdin a good guy? Well, of course, we know he's a good guy. We've seen the movie, but the guards don't know he's good, and our character doesn't, so we go looking for Aladdin to see if we can set things straight. Or Key Player does, anyway. So Key Player finds Aladdin, and Aladdin is, of course, whispering, like, because he doesn't want to be caught, especially since he says he's not the one who stole the medals. Someone else did it, but he's looking for them now to help clear his name and asks for our help in doing so. After doing some searching and defeating multiple Heartless, one of them apparently dropped one of these medals, and Aladdin is very happy he at least got one of them, but there's still a bunch missing. So with 4 more medals to go, Key Player agrees to help Aladdin find the other 4 medals, and after a while, Key Player does so. Aladdin points out the very good fact that if he goes and turns them in, they'll probably just arrest him, and thinking they have caught the perpetrator. So he asks us to go and return the medals for him to clear his name. And on the way back, we end up fighting what looks to be a giant mech Heartless. Or a giant mech piloted by Heartless. Okay, Square Enix, I don't know if you're listening or not, but I want to fight this in a real Kingdom Hearts game. So, and let's face it, I didn't play this game when it was live. I'm just watching somebody else's playthrough. So if you could, Square Enix, do me a real big favor. Find a way to port this game in a much more easily consumable state to other consoles. And, let us play this game so we can actually see what's going on. And plus, because here's the thing. I am watching somebody else's Let's Play, but he has edited a lot of this too. So there might be some miniature things. I don't think it's that big a deal, but the fact that this game is killed pretty much and it's not playable anymore, and the only way you can experience the story is to watch cutscenes that don't even include all of the story, is annoying to me. But that is beside the point. Let's continue. So we deliver the medals back to the guard, clear Aladdin's name, but the guard is still not trustworthy of Aladdin for obvious reasons, especially since I'm figuring this is before the movie Aladdin takes place. So, yeah, especially since this is the guard that is chasing Aladdin throughout most of Aladdin's song. Is it One Jump? Is that the name of it? I can't remember the name of the songs. It's been a while. But, yeah, Chirothy then pops up and says, "All's well that ends well. Hey, let's go on another adventure in another world." And so we open a portal to another world, and we go back to Dwarf Woodlands. So we get back to Dwarf Woodlands, and Chirothy says, "Looks like everyone's at the mine. Why don't you go and talk to him?" So Key Player does so. We come across Grumpy, and he says, "What are you doing here again? Well, if you're going to cause this much trouble, why don't you? I bet you won't see the others. There's apparently some big monster. Why don't you go give a whack at it, see if you can take him out?" And it is here that we run into the second cutscene at 8 minutes into this recording, where called Dopey and Sneezy, and we finally find the last 2 of the 7 dwarves. As we enter the scene, or as Key Player enters the scene, I should say, Sneezy is getting ready to, sneeze. Dopey holds his finger up under Sneezy's nose, to keep him from actually sneezing. As soon as Dopey thinks that the danger is past, he lets go, he lowers it, and Sneezy then sneezes. A very powerful sneeze that actually pushes Key Player back a little bit. At which point, Grumpy runs in and says, "What are you 2 doing in here? Now, don't worry, I ain't mad at you, but everybody's waiting for you. You better get on over there and see what they want. And Sneezy, better quit sneezing while you're here, because this ground is a little too shaky for that sort of thing." And as we get ready to leave, Chirothy pops in and says, "Okay, we are on the right track, but because there is something dangerous about to go down, I can just tell. One of the precious lights is about to be consumed by darkness." Now, let's put 2 and 2 together here. No, actually, no, we're not going to. But I think you can kind of guess that, in a world based on Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and we found the 7 Dwarfs, that leaves one character who could possibly be the light. Let's see if I'm right. As Key Player goes around fighting some more Heartless, he eventually comes upon a young maiden in a yellow dress with a blue top, black hair with a red bow, and yeah, it's the Snow White we saw from earlier, but actually dressed in her more traditionally known princess garb. So yeah, that is the precious light that we were looking for. As we defeat the boss Heartless that's keeping her hostage, and we begin the next cutscene, which is called A Precious Light. We quash her fears? Quell her fears? She's spooked, and we give her a little bit of... We say, hey, everything's going to be all right. That's what I'm trying to say. Key player does this by holding his Keyblade alight. No, I should say, this is after Snow White has said, oh, it's so dark and scary in this glade. I'm so afraid. So Key player holds his Keyblade up into the sky, and light shines forth. And now she's, feels better. She says, oh, well, you're not so scary. And he feels like that you are warm and made of light, which is just weird. And she says, how is this so? Tell me, please. And apparently Key player tells her that it is light. I am a hero. I don't know what else he says, because all of, Key player doesn't actually talk in our playthrough of this, any of these playthroughs. So, yeah. But apparently we said something about, oh, the light is from our heart. And she says, that's sweet. She says, meeting us was nice. Oh, but I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Snow White. And I'm sitting here going, thank you for telling us. I already know. But yeah, that's me metagaming. Moving on. She says she mustn't stay. It's too dangerous here. I gotta go. See ya. And then she runs off. And that's where we're going to put an end to it tonight, folks. So far, I mean, this is a little bit of a weird episode, I say, knowing that like nearly every episode up to this point has kind of felt like this, where it seems like it's 3 cutscenes that are jumbled together and have no bearing on each other. We jump from world to world to world so quickly. I have to wonder if we were actually playing the game and we were playing all 160 missions that it took to get to where we are now from the beginning of the game, according to Dan on the Playframe playthrough. And that's apparently only a 1/6 of the game, which scares me to death, but beside the point. I do have to wonder if in those instances the time spent in each world feels more balanced. I'm not 100% sure if that would be the case, but I kind of would hope it would feel that way. However, that's not the point. We are at least finally, at least with the Snow White story, moving that forward past what feels like filler, now that we've collected all 7 dwarves and Snow White's involved in the story again. So it will be curious what happens when we get back to there, I believe, next episode. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The next episodes do take place in Dwarf Woodlands. It's a number of episodes, actually, a number of cutscenes, actually. It's 2 cutscenes. I'm looking at it. One of them involving Bashful. Another one is called A Monster. And that may be where I end that one, because then we spend some more time in Daybreak Town before we then go back to Dwarf Woodlands, which at least down here when we come back to Dwarf Woodlands, it does look like, heck, it looks like we're going through a bunch of that story in a hurry. But yeah, join me next time for that. In the meantime, this is Drew, and I'll catch you in the next frame. The Cellcast is a member of the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information about shows in those networks, please check the links in the description. The Cellcast presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts as a production of the Cellcast podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at cast_cell, on Facebook at the Cellcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, and you can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com or visit us on our webpage at thecellcast.podbean.com. Our theme music is Trinity by Tyler Spirian and is a remix of the song Dearly Beloved by Yoko Shimomura from the franchise Kingdom Hearts. The Cellcast podcast has no affiliation with Square Enix, Disney, or for that matter anyone else connected to the Kingdom Hearts franchise. The Cellcast Presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts is a fan production, and no copyright infringement is intended or implied. Kingdom Hearts is owned by both Disney and Square Enix. This podcast also is not intended to be a replacement for playing the games. Please go and play them yourself.